I think I solved the Lord of Xenoblade Cross. Might be my most important video yet. Connecting dots led to some huge lore findings. There are two main sections. First, who, what, and where is the Great One? What is the Vita? And secondly, the Dark Matter Sea. Where is Mira? And what happened to the Samaarians? Please stay for the whole video. You can't miss this. Each discovery leads to the next one. Spoilers for Xenoblade Cross, of course. The Great One, the enigmatic entity venerated by the Ganglion. There are many clues out there that tell us a lot about him and the universe of Cross. First, we need to look at who was mentioning him and their connection. The Ganglion, or growth in Japanese, were originally different artificial slave races created by the old humans, the Samaarians that came from another universe. They were made by them, or from them, and programmed to be weak to pure human DNA, the failsafe. Both ganglion and growth terms are related to growths on human tissue, and their leader, Luxar, said the blood of the Great One ran in his veins. Blood will be important. Hence he was able to use 30% of the Vita's power. Luxar also believes that Mira is the birthplace of the Samaarians, the old humans, and the Great One. And in his final moments, Luxar said he wished he could see him again. So, these first clues tell us a lot. First, at least originally, the Great One was a biological being of flesh and blood. Either a Samaarian human scientist or one of the original or first ganglions that came from them. Born on Mira, had blood, so of course that would mean he is old. Luxar has seen him and shares his blood, so they've met. I could see the Great One creating Luxar's ancestors from his own tissue as some sort of homunculi, hence his 30%. Only meeting on visions thanks to their biological link. Second, blood and birthright. The Vita was supposed to be the Great One's vessel. Luxar was somewhat capable of using it as he had his blood, so only those with some percentage of his blood can use it. Bio ID tag. Now, here's something very interesting. Luxar first thought Elma was a regular human, and when she said the crippled Vita lacked something vital, Luxar responded that maybe she wasn't entirely ignorant and could sense that thanks to her human birthright, only realizing later that she wasn't in fact human. So, we could infer that humans have some ancestry from the Great One as well, related to them being descendants of Samaar, and confirming once more that the Great One was a Samaarian, and probably human at first. Okay, now into the Vita, the vessel itself. It isn't known who was piloting the Vita when they attacked Earth. This wiki says it was the Great One, but I'm not sure yet. The important thing is that the Ganglion are trapped and looking for it. Luxar said that with the Great One and the Vita, they would be able to escape the phenomenon. But how? Let's see what the Vita can do. Despite being Ganglion/Samaarian and the vessel of the Great One, the inner frame was recognized by Elma to be made of dark matter, to be their handiwork. Ghost tech. Let's remember that Elma is probably from the Ghosts. She didn't know about the Ganglion or Samaar before. She warned humans about the Ghost and gave them the dark matter engine, phase transition tech, and the Ares skill to match them. Just like Elma, the Vita has Ghost Factory. It can also create missiles and satellites by absorbing dark matter. So, there is dark matter surrounding or scattered throughout Mira. More on that later. Explaining why there is something in Mira that causes interference between the dark matter engine energy transmitter and the Skell's slave generators, and how they can regain fuel in certain weather conditions. But Luxar can only use 30% of its power. hence why they need the missing Great One itself to fully utilize its power and escape. How did they end up in Mira? Engulfed by a white light. The Manon, same. Professor B, he too. Teleporting white flash of light. In Xenogears, we had Deus activating space displacement mode. In Xenosaga, we had Omega with phase transfer, hyperspace for ships using the u.m.n, and there was also Abel's arc jumping between domains. In Xenoblade, we had Klaus' experiment in the phase transition facility, triggering a space-time transition event. In Cross, Mira doesn't exist in any space chart, from Elma or Professor B in the future. It exists in its own plane of existence, and the Ghost's mothership seemed to have activated, either on its own or with the Vita, a similar phase transition explosion. So, they need the Great One to fully activate the Vita and trigger another phase transition event to live. Also, Laxar became one with the protoplasm, and the Vita also fell there. The Lifehold is contaminated. This might be important later. Where is the Great One? Does he even exist anymore? The Vita was supposed to be his vessel, a new body. So, the Great One lost or discarded his body at some point. The Vita's main body is composed just as the Ares and the Ghosts, which are like the concept of Ouroboros and Mobius, and we didn't see a glowing energy core inside. So, that missing vital component would be the Great One's soul or consciousness, aligned with the Mimesome tech and Mira having everyone's data stored somewhere else. The Great One's data could be lost in the same place as everyone else's. But when Elma found the impact crater where the Vita fell after being sent to Mira, she said there was a pulse, that the ghost of its pilot still lingers. The mech was surrounded by black fog, leaking from it, more towards ghost tech. And the nearby creatures got possessed, becoming tainted. So, we could also theorize the Great One's soul was fragmented, and each tiny fragment possessed the creatures, losing the sense of self and will, returning to a primal instinct state. The tainted cannot exist outside the tiny area of the crater, even when they took the Vita. So, the impact and black fog staying there could also mean the Great One died on the impact and his spirit lingers just there. In any case, as we said, the Great One doesn't exist physically anymore. Ghost tech can harbor souls. So, how did the Ganglion get that type of technology? Either they stole it, a traitor, or, in theory time, Laxar said Mira was the birthplace of Samaar and the Great One. Long time ago, there was a war between native people there, and the Ganglion and humans found Mira thanks to the ghosts. So, I believe the ghosts were the other native faction in Mira. Some terrain looks like their tech, and could also mean the Vita could have been developed during that period as a super weapon to end the war. Just like Deus, Omega and Ion in their respective games. A godlike mech made by two human-looking civilizations before both left the planet for some reason. There is an orbital elevator there, and Mira exists now in a weird space-time phenomena, maybe sealing the planet because of something dangerous, and then forgetting where it was, like Lost Jerusalem in Xenogears and Xenosaga. And, following those games' ideas again, maybe the Great One is somewhere lost in an u.m.n-like domain, like Verum. We know there were many native civilizations in Mira, and one of them managed to build a huge kingdom in the sky. But one day, they lost control of the energy used to keep it afloat, and it fell. The Oblivia Ring was a part of it. Okay, that was crazy, but we are just halfway there. Now, the Dark Matter Sea. And Mira. What is the Dark Matter Sea, where every minute matters? It's not just in the lyrics. as a paragraph in the communication device lore mentions the Dark Matter Sea and the phase transition canon. The white whale was supposed to have an active stealth system to fulfill its duty of traveling the Dark Matter Seas without being detected from any enemies, and also sports a phase transition cannon. So, this also tells us more than what makes the eye. For context, this comes after the paragraph that says the white whale was designed from the beginning to be fully capable of combating ghosts. It hosts 2 small dark matter engines made of dark matter. So, the ship was intended to traverse this dark matter sea, and it needs a stealth mode to hide from the enemies while doing so. Dark matter engines, dark matter sea, made to combat ghosts, who have also antimatter cores. That would mean the enemy they hide from in the sea are the ghosts. And this would also mean the ghosts inhabit this place, and the white whale had an encounter with the ghost 2 years after, ending in their crash on Mira. Did the stealth mode fail, sabotaged, or did they exit briefly? But just what is the Dark Matter Sea? If they mention it along the Dark Matter engine and phase transition tech, like the cannon similar to Omega's u.m.n phase transfer cannon, it could mean the Dark Matter Sea is a different domain, similar to the imaginary domain in Xenosaga. Hence the ghost inhabiting it would be like the Gnosis, or just how it relates to matter and antimatter colliding, resulting in massive amounts of energy, hence engine and cores. It could be space in between dimensions, or a gateway, like the space between the matter and antimatter dimensions of Xenoblade 1 and 2. And we know that not only does Mira exist in its own space-time phenomena, but the Samaarians came from another plane/universe. There are many direct mentions of the world with an endless sea from where the Ova and the Telethia came from. So, Cross already establishes multiple planes and universes. Mind you that shifting through matter, antimatter, dark matter phases would require massive amounts of energy. The dark matter engine or conduit-like artifact would be necessary. Moreover, Mira is a planet made of a fusion of different summoned worlds. We saw earlier it's likely to be a phase shift phenomenon, so different worlds of both matter and antimatter in a planet with some black fog. I think Mira is inside or surrounded by the Dark Matter Sea, and the white whale entered it and was found by the ghosts, crashing into the planet that was inside this space. Or they used the Dark Matter Sea to travel, exit it and found the all-forbidden lost planet, and the ghost just followed them. A gateway. Did Samaarians use it to come to this fresh universe and enslave it, while ghosts collect, eat or assimilate planets, or try to restore the prior universe? The ships were slow to have escaped the ganglion, ghosts and the white light, and using the dark matter engines on Earth would be too dangerous. Hence the ships must have launched and after a safe distance entered the dark matter sea or dimension to travel far. In fact, Lynn at the ending confirms Elma gave them light speed travel. So, something like Xenosaga and Star Wars hyperspace dimension that ships use to travel distances. Jesus, there's a lot of Xenosaga in Cross. Now, what could have happened to Samaar? The coup. It isn't clear whether the original Samaarians still exist or not, but most evidence points towards the latter. The Sarubogan, another artificial slave race, completely forgot about their appearance. Nowadays, they believe in one deity as their creator, Golboga. And Luxor talks about the new humans being their legacy, as if they passed on and left something behind. We know after they came to the universe of Cross, they started colonizing other planets and creating slave races for harvest, labor or cleaning. in their peak reaching around 6 million light-years of space. Sarubogans were basically made to consume pollution Samaarians dumped in their planet, Bedun or Bedun. They drowned our homeworld in Voltant and birthed our people. They seem to have inhabited it at some point, until they ravaged it and their resources. A whole planet turned into a trash bin. Sarubogans were created to clean it, and could only survive from their pollution. Other species are clearly more amphibious or made to survive and serve in different types of ecosystems, but there was a clear hierarchy, human Samaarians above the others. Their slaves were programmed with a failsafe. Human DNA, so they didn't rebel. They were made to obey. At some point, the Ganglion, prime syndicate/coalition of slave races within the Samaarian Federation, conquered Bedun, taking the Sarubogans to their ranks through force, just like with the Prawns, which submitted to the Ganglion in exchange of winning their civil war. All of these conquering and preparations means either the Samaarians didn't care, or they were no more, with the Federation being run by other species and Samaarian descendants that no longer look human nor have the DNA. Otherwise, they would have destroyed the Ganglions. Luxar was in denial, saying the failsafe was only a myth. This tells us that maybe Luxar was born in a time where the current Samaarians no longer had human DNA. Gajark mocks him, calling him Counselor. So, he wasn't always the Grand Master, or the Ganglion Syndicate was formed in recent years. Makes sense why the other members didn't care about his position of command. Maybe he was a counselor in the past, as an intermediary in more Pacific Samaarian occupations, and rose into power like a corrupt major. To fight slavers, they became slavers. The lack of human DNA, a bioweapon of mass destruction from the Ganglion's point of view, meant they were no longer slaves nor fear of being wiped out. The threat of humans, the failsafe, became a fairy tale to scare children. But a destroyed pioneer plague from planet Earth with directions to find us reached one of their ships, which terrified Luxar enough to order an immediate attack. Who destroyed it? We don't know. Another race? A random asteroid? Little did they know that another alien race coming from the opposite side of the solar system, the Ghosts, were already on their way to destroy humans as well. Good thing Elma arrived years in advance to prepare them. And so, the Earth was caught in a great battle between two unknown alien forces. We know the new humans were made by the Samaarians long ago. In secret it seems. Maybe foreseeing a betrayal, or like Seboim civilization in Xenogears, the population was dwindling due to genetic decay, hence they planted the seed for the new humans to be born. Or literally descendants, the remaining Samaarians after a purge, wounded or starting from zero, free from tech and sin, became humanity on Earth, the Cancer, the last Samaarians, the universe slavers. Either way, the old human Samaarians were long gone. What about the Great One? Maybe that's why he got rid of his body, if it was on purpose, or modify himself seeing weakness in his own flesh. He created some ganglions from himself. And unlike with other Samaarians, the ganglions seemed to worship him. Maybe the Great One was an entity inside the Vita that gave them freedom or helped in some sort of coup against the old Samaarians, like how Deus and Omega were supposed to be used to end the intergalactic war. Maybe he was responsible for wiping them out, seeing as Samaarians and him had some sort of grand-scale civilization wiping tech using DNA. Did he, as a human, start an experiment in Mira's orbital elevator? There are craters on Mira that hint at big objects falling into orbit. Please help me share this video, I think this is my best and most important Xenoblade Cross theory yet. If not, still a nice reimagining of perfect works in Xenoblade Cross context. Help me make Xenoblade Cross and this theory relevant. Contrary to popular belief, this game has lore. Don't know if the additional story elements will touch these topics. They'll probably be revealed in Xenoblade Cross 2 or Xenoblade Cross 3. Did I nail how the universe in Cross works? Is the Great One yet another delusional scientist? Is Mira inside or separated by the Dark Matter Sea? Can you pilot the Vita with human blood? Let me know what you think. I am really excited for the discussion on these topics. It truly feels like perfect works in Xenoblade Cross. Do you think this multiverse world and nature of Mira allows for the connections with the other games? Stuff in Mira was already said in-game to come from the world of an endless sea, not to mention the biomes, black fog, and a prior evolved race of humans from another universe that made the new ones. Anyways, that would be it for today. Have a good one.